Welcome to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe and Dave. Be warned, the discussions in this podcast will contain detailed spoilers. For spoiler-free reviews of newly released films, please check out our channel Reviews Without Remorse on YouTube and VidMe. Enter at your own risk and enjoy the show.
Welcome to Reviews Without Remorse. It's nice to see you. My name is David. Learn it well, for it's the chilling sound of your doom. And the man who will show no mercy after none was shown to him, Joe.
I'm the party pooper.
This is episode 80, and in this show we will discuss, on top of news that Alan Horn is supposedly not blinking over the firing of James Gunn, comes news that production on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has been shut down. Fabulous. What does a 3-year-old video game and Star Trek Discovery have in common? According to the developer of the game, a hell of a lot, to the point of suing CES for plagiarism. Is it wrong that I have a Nelson Muntz laughing in my head when hearing about this? I braved the theater to see Teen Titans Go to the movies. What do I think about the latest DC Universe film? Well, it's not a DC Universe film, which instantly made it better. And then we close out the Burton-Schumacher Batman era in the most horrific way possible. Who killed the film series? Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin. How you doing, my man?
I was doing fine till I had to sit through Batman and Robin last night. My girlfriend says I've had to sit through a lot of movies with you. I think we've hit bottom.
You know what? Your woman is both smart and dumb. She is smart because of that statement. She is dumb because of after all those movies you've made her watch, she's still with you.
You're immortal. How?
You said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay, so the news goes, first of all, like literally an hour after we were done recording the podcast last week, news broke that Disney was not budging on the firing of James Gunn. Like literally the hour after we were done. And we were like, okay, well, not much we can do about that now. But then, this is where things get interesting. The movie itself was in pre-production in Atlanta, which is where Marvel has been filming most of their movies. And now they have shut down production on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. They have released all the people that were working on them saying, find other jobs. Holy schmeckles, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I tell you what, the funny thing is that Marvel, I think, has a luxury that not a lot of film franchises have. For example, we just talked about the fact that Danny Boyle was fired or left the production of Bond 25, and a lot of people predicted that this was going to delay production, to which I said, I don't think so, because again, there's a lot of factors involved. You know, there's a lot of scheduling that's involved with, you know, when the theaters are going to get the films and the sponsors, the people who are paying into the production. There's a lot of people to have to satisfy. So just saying you're going to put it off a while ain't that easy. Marvel, on the other hand, if they decide, you know what, we're going to either slow down or even cancel one of our films, they got 3 or 4 others going on at the exact same time that they can either speed up or just do whatever. So yeah, they do have a little flexibility that most people don't have. So they could just sort of say, you know what, we're going to just slow it down a little bit. You guys go have fun for a little while and we'll call you when we're ready. It's not good for us. It's not good for the fans, the viewers. But I guess it's better than rushing to try to just get it in there.
I kind of agree with you on that in a weird respect. There's still a lot up in the air. I mean, yes, we've heard the story that that Alan Horn has basically nixed the idea that they're going to bring James Gunn back. And the other thing that we have going is all we have talked about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is just talk about. They've never actually officially announced it. They've never actually given it an official release date. It's not like they are beholden to any type of release schedule. They were just doing this because this was James Gunn capping the series. So it's not quite as people make it out to be, but it is also still messy. I still don't like it. Part of me, this is going to sound really, really weird. A part of me is thinking that maybe what's happening here is they're pushing back production so that this whole controversy will die down, and then they'll just say, hey, James is back and he's doing it after all. That's what a part of me is thinking. I don't think that's possible at all, because we've got a power play going on here at Disney right now. Bob Iger, the head of Disney, is like literally like a quarter of an inch, like a pubic hair away from retiring. And the guy in charge of Marvel right now, in the Marvel division, Alan Horn, he is considered one of the people that are next in line. So right now, he's just trying to keep his frickin' nose clean until he gets the CEO position. That's what I think is going on here.
Yeah, very true. And they did throw down and say, no, we are serious. We're not going to bring him back. So, yeah, all that rallying that we kind of got a little excited by, it was great, but didn't really add up to much. Yeah, and you're right. They never promised us a Guardians 3, so it could be just what it is. It could be a great 2-part series, and we'll see them in the Infinity War and who knows what else. We'll see how it goes.
I honestly wouldn't be too upset if it wound up being... Here's the thing, because the whole Guardians of the Galaxy identity is wrapped up in James Gunn. All that stuff, that's him. These aren't even, like, these are the characters in look from the comics, but in personality, these are James Gunn creations.
That's true, too.
So, a part of me is like, you know what? Maybe it's just better that we just let it die after 2. I don't like the idea of it. I would have loved to have seen what Gunn had in mind for part 3, especially since he hinted at Adam Warlock and everything. I would have loved to have seen that, but on the other side of the coin, here's the way I look at it. I think this is making me think of The Dark Knight Rises. Okay? You had 2 really good Batman movies from Christopher Nolan. Heath Ledger dies, and along comes Dark Knight Rises, and you're watching the movie, and one of the things I thought of as I'm watching it is, oh my God, he lost his passion for this project. The death of Heath Ledger obviously killed his passion for it, because this movie is crap. And we'll talk about it when we get to that trilogy.
And I am anxious.
And I think that's what this series would.
What?
I think that's what this series would have suffered from if James Gunn hadn't come back. But please, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nothing. Just that I'm very anxious to talk about that movie with you, because we haven't really talked about it, and I'm dying to know your feeling there. But yeah, that could be true. I think, why do it if they're not feeling it? You know.
Well. Oh, Star Trek, you did it again.
Yeah, right? Wow.
First, we need to go back in the Wayback Machine for a bit, ladies and gentlemen, and I need to tell you a quick little story. So, during the early days of Star Trek The Next Generation, there was an idea of doing a spin-off series. And at the time, a man named J. Michael Straczynski was shopping around a project about a space station that was the center of a galactic conflict. He had a 5-year plan for the story and everything like that, all worked out, shopping around to many different people. One of the people that they went to was Paramount Pictures. Well, he wound up getting it sold, and then shortly after he got it sold, Paramount announces Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which is about a space station in the central portion of a conflict in the middle of the galaxy. It was a tad bit coincidental. Now, unabashedly, Deep Space Nine is like my favorite of the modern Star Trek movie. To me, it's original Star Trek is God, and then Just below that, it's kind of a really, really close tie between The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, and sometimes Deep Space Nine gets above it. So I'm not going to complain too much. So my point is like, historically, this isn't the first time somebody's accused Star Trek of ripping them off.
Ouch.
The indie developer's name is Anis Abdin, and in a blog post on August 21st, he said that he was filing a lawsuit against CBS to sue them for plagiarism because he had been working on the name of the video game is Tardigrades. And if you remember, the Tardigrades were the beings that were in Star Trek Discovery, the strange beings that allowed this interstellar warp travel, whatever the hell it was. And this person's game is about these tardigrades that allow for interstellar warp travel around the galaxy. He has a gay character named Aziz. He's got a blonde-headed character that can communicate with the tardigrades. He's got the lead female woman, who is the captain of the vessel, and her second in command. Basically, it's like he showed like these pictures of all the similarities. He showed a picture of how the tardigrades use their warping field, and it's like these tiny, and it looks exactly the same way as it does in Discovery when they use it. He shows the characters that he made and the characters that showed up in the show. And then he shows his creature, and then he shows the creature that's on the show, and dude, it is freaking similar.
It's the stuff I saw that he did a web page basically saying like, hey guys, look, here's what I did, here's what they did, and he's got side by side shots, and it's, you'd think if they were gonna rip it off that you'd at least throw a little shade on it and change a couple characters around, but even the look of them looks exactly the same. So, like, wow, like, he didn't even try to cover it up that this was, I mean, again, like I said, unless this is like a 1 in a million coincidence, it's just shot for shot, beat by beat, a complete ripoff. What were these people thinking?
I don't know. It was submitted into the service known as Steam Greenlight back in November of 2014. And then it was basically approved to be released through Steam November 2015, like literally 2 weeks after, like 2 weeks after it was greenlit, CBS announced Star Trek Discovery. There's just way, way, way too many coincidences.
Oh man, that is just crazy. I mean, it is. I've never seen. I don't think I've ever seen anything so blatant. Again, if like at least cover your tracks a little bit, but this is just ridiculous. It's like they wanted to get caught plagiarizing.
I know. I mean, look, I don't get it. I just, even Deep Space Nine had the what's the word I'm looking for? At least Deep Space Nine took a concept. The concept was space station in the middle of war. That was really what they stole
and ran
from
with it.
J. Michael Straczynski. And they ran with it, but they ran with it in their own direction.
Yeah.
Okay? This is just like complete and total ripoff. You know what? A part of me is like all for this guy. You know what? Do it. Sue the pants off of son of a bitches.
I mean, you know, we throw it around a lot. We kind of say that the people making movies today or making TV shows are just so incompetent that they can't even put together something that is mildly original, coherent, or enjoyable. This is beyond incompetence. Like again, it's like you're trying to get caught.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Again, not going to feel bad for them because, frankly, anything that this show suffers, as far as I'm concerned, I'm okay with. It deserves a lot of the derision I feel for it.
Yeah.
It is just, it's not good Star Trek. It's a mediocre sci-fi show that you slap the Star Trek label on to get it sold. That's all it is.
And do I even bring up the other stuff, by the way? Because apparently it gets worse.
Bring up what you want while we're still. Oh, wait, there's more? Maybe I missed that.
This is a dark time for Star Trek. Basically, there's also another side story along with this. And by the way, this is happening alongside of the troubles with getting Star Trek 4 greenlit. Like Star Trek 4 is
I forgot
already
about that.
looking like it's sinking, but at this point they're trying to get their hands on some investors who are willing to put some money into this. Well, not only do you have the troubles with Star Trek 4 already, not only do you have Star Trek Discovery now about to get sued for plagiarism, but apparently there's even a sexual harassment lawsuit, which admittedly is kind of a distant connection. Apparently the young fella who played young Kirk in the new Star Trek reboot, the kid who was driving the Corvette off the cliff.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah. Apparently he had, and again, I mean, you know, at this point now he's much older. He had a relationship while he was still a minor with an older woman who was someone in the industry, and I'm not even going to bother with the details. And apparently he kind of let it go. He, you know, got a little payback or something or other. He got some money for it, so he let it go.
I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah. And apparently he was all set to let it go until the woman who was his attacker, I guess. And again, you're talking about, see, it's funny. I kind of miss the days when, you know, a sexual assault was very cut and dry, but now there's a lot of sort of shades of gray. He was, but he was a minor, and the woman involved was an adult. He was a minor. He was about 17. But again, he, you know, it was behind him. He needed to let it go. Then suddenly the same woman came out against Harvey Weinstein. And, you know, she was kind of part of the Me Too thing. So this kid who himself was a victim said, wait a second, now the woman who assaulted me is now going to paint herself as a victim and go on this big tirade about this guy. And so he was like, no. So he came out. He came out and basically said, this is what happened. So, and again, like I said, it's kind of a distant Star Trek connection, admittedly. But
yeah, it's distant and like hardly connected. It's not even, nobody's
Agreed.
even made that association.
Well, I've seen the association made, which is how I heard it. But yes, it is a distant association. But the reason why it's relevant, it just sort of goes to, again, Star Trek 4 is trying desperately to get off the ground. So anybody they reach out to and say, hey, put your money into this project, get behind Star Trek, this other problem over here, and then this over here, it doesn't help. It just really doesn't help to try to get backers to work on the new film. So with that in mind, I hate to say it, but you said last week, let it die. I think it might be dead on arrival at this point.
Coming this summer,
They're finally going to make a movie about me!
the story of Batman's greatest ally
It's me! That must be me!
and best friend in the whole world,
Finally!
Alfred the movie.
It's time to clean up this city.
That actually does look pretty good.
I'll see it.
Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Ladies and gentlemen, the best DC Cinematic Universe movie that's been out so far. And yes, I put it above Wonder Woman.
Wow. Okay. Did Robin crunch anybody's neck and go, fuck Batman?
There was none of that. There was absolutely positively none of that. But the entire here it is. The best way to describe this movie is think of it as Deadpool for kids, but with a little bit of adult humor thrown in there. And it goes to some relatively dark places. I mean, without giving too much away, at one point in the movie, they go back in time and they save Bruce Wayne's family from walking down the alley, but then they realize, oh shit, that made things worse, so they go back in time and actually escort them down the alley.
Okay, yeah, that's a little Deadpoolish. I can see that.
Yeah, but fun. It was actually a lot of fun and funny. Will Arnett played the part of Slade. It had by far one of the greatest cameos in cinematic history in this movie. And I'm not telling you, when it comes out, I'm going to make sure you get a copy of it so you can see it. It's just seriously one of the greatest cameos in cinematic history. Better than anything that Marvel has done to date.
Okay, I'm interested.
Okay. It was fun. It was funny. It was rather insightful. I mean, it's the story of the Teen Titans, Robin, everybody's getting a movie. All the superheroes are getting a movie. Batman's got a movie. Superman's got a movie. Aquaman's getting a movie. Green Lantern's getting a movie, even though I don't want to talk about it. And then it turns out Alfred is getting a movie.
Okay.
By the way, I think I need to throw in just for the sake of art imitating life. There is a TV show that has been greenlit based on Alfred.
Okay.
I'm not kidding. Don't look at me like that.
Okay.
I'm very serious. Look up the up and coming TV show Pennyworth.
Okay. All right. I can see it.
And and the rest of you audience do that as well. Yes, honestly, it is fun. It is a lot of fun. My kid had a blast. I actually had a blast. I stayed through the credits. I laughed my head off. Simple but fun. And honestly, if Teen Titans Go is the gateway drug for young kids to learn about the cinematic universe, they could do worse.
All right. I like it. I'll check it out.
I want a car. Chicks dig the car.
This is why Superman works alone.
Batman and Robin try to keep their relationship together, even as they must stop Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy from freezing Gotham City. Written by Octavia Goldsman, based on the DC comic character created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane, directed by Joel Schumacher. I'm putting much more emphasis into this movie than they put into making it. Batman and Robin. I'm so glad this is over.
I watched this just last night with my girlfriend, who has been a pretty good sport about watching the movies that we review, and it could not have been 5 minutes into it. She was looking at me like, "Are you serious? Like, is this really this bad?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's actually kind of notorious for being bad." She goes, "No, I think it's worse than that." I'm like, "No, I think everybody knows how bad it is." She's like, "No." Yeah.
You know what the funny part is that's actually the opening is actually the best part of the movie.
I tell you what, I do appreciate when a movie kind of lets you in on the joke early on and sort of lets you know exactly what you're in for. Mm-hmm. I will say that for this movie, it does. In the first 3 minutes, you get it.
It knows how to set the tone, didn't it?
It does. It's got the humor is awkward. I mean, they're right out of the gate. Batman, there's a new villain in town, and he's calling himself Mr. Freeze. Yada yada. I mean, we're just back to the TV show at this point.
Yep, pretty much.
I don't even think that they're not even fooling around anymore. Like, they're not even holding the cards close to the vest. They're just like, hey, look, it's the old TV show. New week, new villain, silliness, nonsense, nothing resembling a story. The action is clunky and awkward, where early on the laws of physics just do not apply in this universe. It's a cartoon. It is a live action cartoon. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah. That's all accurate. This movie is an insult. It's an insult to cinema. It is an insult to Batman. It is an insult to intelligence. It is an insult to all the actors in this movie. Now, George Clooney took over the role as Batman, and he has been apologizing for it ever since.
As well he should.
There's nothing wrong with George Clooney, the actor. George Clooney, the actor, is a fine actor. He has done some wonderful things that Joe and I will, have enjoyed, have gushed about on many occasions. And here he does as much as he can, for second billing in a Batman movie. The second time that somebody got second billing, because of course Arnold Schwarzenegger got top billing. Chris O'Donnell has no idea what the hell he's doing. He's just here. It's like, you know what? Contract said be here. Here I am.
Yeah.
Uma Thurman, I mean, vamping it up is one thing. What the hell was she doing? Was that her idea of being? Is that how she sees what over the top sexy is? Really?
Well, she's See, it's funny. I've never really seen Uma Thurman as like a very. She's cute and capable, and she's okay. But to sort of make her into this kind of goddess, but I mean, again, whatever. The funny thing about this movie I found early on was that it's pretty much just a remake of the one before it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, it starts off. We got one villain who's already a villain, right? We don't have time for his backstory. We'll get to it later. Right. While he's running amok, we'll do the origin story of the other villain, and let that origin happen on screen. Mm-hmm. Then they'll find her.
Make sure you poorly. You have to add the word poorly.
Of course, right. I mean, it's just more nonsense. I mean, it was kind of a combination of the last film and a little bit of Batman Returns, because they kind of do her as the Catwoman again, where she's like, she's that very mousy, secretary type, even though she's weird and nerdy, and then suddenly she's this like sexy goddess after she does her transformation. We don't know why, but it just is. And then the rest of the movie is like, well, let's team up to get Batman and Robin. And by the way, we got to squeeze in another Batman character in the form of Batgirl, which is god awful. I mean, talk about just not caring anymore.
This entire movie.
Am I skipping ahead?
No, this entire movie felt like some executive's checklist. Okay. We need to bring in Batgirl. We need this. We need that.
Yeah.
We need Arnold Schwarzenegger. When they first said that they were going to do Batman and Robin and that the villain was going to be Mr. Freeze, I was like, oh, man, maybe they'll get Patrick Stewart. After the excellent reimagination of Mr. Freeze from the Batman animated series, Patrick Stewart would be the perfect person to play Arnold Schwarzenegger. What? Oh, no.
Yeah, who has nothing, right? Why would you even bother again, I'll say this.
The gold-winning decathlete and molecular scientist.
Yeah, right. Seriously. I will say this for Arnold. I mean, they told him, they said, look, we're going to put you in this movie and you don't have to take your shirt off the entire time. So he probably got all excited. It was like, oh, look, I'm going to be like a real actor this time? Well, not quite.
Cool party.
I mean, again, I don't want to criticize the actors, some of the actors, too much, because, again, somebody somewhere said, hey, you want to be in this Batman movie? They're just a lot of fun, and everyone loves it. You just ham it up, and it's all for fun. And they're probably like, yeah, sure, sounds fun. And little do they know that every Batman fan is just cringing beyond cringing.
They're dying inside. Inside.
Slow, painful deaths inside, yeah.
Here, I'm going to tell you a funny little story about this movie. And this movie came out, and I was watching the trailers, and I was like, there's no way I'm seeing this movie. There is no way I'm seeing this movie. And then there was this part of me that's like, David, you know what? You can't really say that. It's not fair. You're prejudging, blah, 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 blah. It's like, all right, but you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go pay to see the movie Face Off, and then I'm going to sneak into this. If I like it, I will buy the ticket for Batman and Robin and just go home. Okay? If I don't, at least I've given it to a movie I've seen and enjoyed and felt was worth the money. So I go to see the movie, and I'm sitting down, and it is literally the quietest audience ever. And the theater was relatively full. I'd say maybe a little over half full, which for an opening weekend is still not that great, but still. So it's half full. And it gets to the part of the movie where they're gathering they're gathering in the Batcave to get ready to head out for the final battle. And the power goes out. The power goes out, and from the next theater, I hear a bunch of, whoa, what the... And I realized that must be the theater that was showing Face Off. Not a word from my theater. Dead silence. Everybody's just sitting there as the emergency lights come up. And I don't know who said it, but somebody said, is anybody really concerned about seeing the ending of this movie? Everybody laughed, and then half the audience walked out. Me too. This true story, absolute positive true story.
I completely believe it. Mary and I were watching it last night, and I told her, I said, "Look, I could hear her grunting and groaning the entire time." I said, I have to watch this. You don't have to watch it. If you don't want to watch it, I will not hold it against you.
Yeah.
But she toughed it out till the end, even though she kind of nodded off through half of it.
That was very kind of her, even though you offered her to save herself.
Yeah. This is a genuinely tough movie to get through. It's like, I mean, honestly, if you enjoy the first 5 minutes, you'll enjoy the whole thing. But any normal person can tell in the first 5 minutes, like, oh no, it's like that. So that's how this is. It's not trying to be anything. I've never seen. I don't know if I've ever seen a movie like this. I mean, we said last week that I said Joel Schumacher. He's a guy who should be doing. He should be directing or producing awards shows. He should be doing the openings of like nightclubs, not actual movies. Like movies require storytelling. They require characters who actually, breathe and do things, and you're supposed to interpret what they're doing and why. I mean, this is bizarre, this movie. I mean, seriously, I can't. It is a giant. It's more cartoony than actual cartoons, where nothing anyone is doing is making sense. I mean, honest to God, the opening fight, like I said, there's a new villain in town, Mr. Freeze, and they show up, and there's Mr. Freeze, and I'm not even going to get into the ice skates and the silly stuff like that. The stuff that jumps out at me is the idea that like somebody will grab a vine and in a way that's supposed to sort of look like he's swinging, somebody is really swinging past on wires, holding the vine in their, like a slack vine in their hand behind them, meaning you're not even trying to make it look like they're holding onto the vine. Somebody will jump and they'll just sort of fly through the air. He kicks the gun out of his hand and the gun goes straight up and kind of parks itself on top of the statue thingy. No, like they obviously shot that backwards where it fell off and they just played it in reverse so that it kind of floats up and mounts itself. At no point does anything resembling, the laws of physics work in this universe. So how are you supposed to really get a sense? I mean, I want to, like, I think that they would call this an action movie, but I can't really even see it as an action movie because, again, no actual physics apply here. There's nothing resembling action. I see people sort of floating around in a way that's supposed to look like they're jumping or whatever, but it does. It's just bizarre. So I honestly don't even know what to call this.
Dude, first of all, I take offense at the use of the word action. That implies that there was actually anything relatively exciting on the screen. There was nothing like that on the screen. Nothing thrilled me. Nothing excited me. Again, the neon has come back with a vengeance in the oddest of places that I have ever seen in my entire life. There is nothing in this that makes me feel happy. Nothing that makes me feel enjoyable. Nothing that brings me. Here's the thing. They sort of got Mr. Freeze's origin correct. They completely screwed up Poison Ivy's origin. And they got the relationship between Bruce Wayne and Alfred okay. But then they just, I don't know what the hell. I feel like somebody snorted a shit ton of cocaine and wrote this movie. And and the way that they sold the movie was, before you read this script, do this line and then read the script.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's funny. I mean, I don't really have a problem with it on paper. I kind of feel like story-wise, it probably could have been good. I mean, and I'm talking about the bare bones of the story, not the actual screenplay, which, again, it was obviously written by somebody who read too many Bazooka Joe comics.
Whoa. Stop insulting Bazooka Joe like that.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, like, seriously, the Poison Ivy bit, that was already done in Batman Returns and done pretty well. So, I mean, the essence is kind of there in the background. it's just the execution is such nonsense. I mean, when they do this, I'm trying to remember when this was, but I guess it was the first, when Poison Ivy first shows up, and they do the battle with Mr. Freeze, and again, the legions and legions of goons why he has them, I don't know.
And where the hell did he find a bunch of people that can both fight and ice skate?
Right, seriously.
Did you just hire the Islanders or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, the part that cracks me up about that, like, again, they're waiting for him to show up. And then all of a sudden, like, out of one wall, the car, the Mr. Freeze car comes busting in, right? And of course I'm saying to myself, like, again, there's no world where this car would drive from another place here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it's obviously in just movie world. It's sitting behind a wall, and when it's time, it'll come busting through the wall, and we'll have a big fight. And even when he left, like he leaves, I remember thinking, like, again, is this a world where you would give chase? You know, because I'm thinking to myself, like, it just seems like you just made a room, which is obviously a set, and everything's going to happen. And then when they leave, like, there's no world out there. But they actually did cut to an actual chase, which kind of surprised me. I remember thinking, like, well, thank God at least they thought to have a chase scene after this, because that's what would happen. But then they do that dumb thing where, first of all, they do this whole world that Schumacher makes with these gigantic statues, like twice these statues everywhere, twice the size of like the Statue of Liberty, and so big that you can drive over them and whatever. When they do that stupid bit with the jump, and like he turns off Robin's motorcycle, which makes him go ah, and I was kind of like, I'm like, really? And like, but like, I mean, the frustrating part of, like, you know, he makes the jump, or rather, Mr. Freeze makes the jump. His two goons don't. Batman almost makes it. Mr. Freeze shoots him with the gun, so the car, whatever, but he parachutes out, and then of course he lands, and then you see Mr. Freeze go, uh-oh. And Batman lands, right? Like kind of glides right towards the car and crashes into the window, into Mr. Freeze's windshield.
Right on.
Cut to Batman standing over Mr. Freeze with the cape up in the air, and Mr. Freeze is laying there hogtied. He's tied to the ground. What happened? What happened there? Like, did you just not feel like taking the time to make a fight, to do a scene where Batman has to actually fight Mr. Freeze? We just established that Mr. Freeze is so ridiculously strong he can throw a human male up into the air and never come back down again. Like, so, like, there's a scene where he grabs the guy, just throws him up in the air to knock the gun back down. But the guy never falls down,
or at least they never established that the guy fell down.
You're right. So, but now suddenly, Mr. Freeze, who's ridiculously strong, and they show him like breaking things and bending things, so he's like, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger strong. Mm-hmm. Batman just shows up. Yeah, I mean, he's basically the Terminator in this, except with funny puns. So, but yeah, they just cut to Batman apprehended Mr. Freeze. We don't know how, we don't know what happened, but whatever. So I mean, this movie is just sort of, again, it plays like the worst kind of like a comic book, and I mean that in the bad way, like a Saturday afternoon serial where, you know, again, next week we're gonna, you know, rearrange what happened this week so we can get to the next part. I mean, it's just the worst. I hate to even use the word storytelling, because there's no attempt to tell a story here.
No, this entire movie is basically Buy the Toys, the movie.
Seriously, I've heard them say, like people in interviews, like Clooney in interviews, when like at some point something happens and then suddenly they show up and they're wearing the different costumes that have like the silver in it. And even during the making, he was like,
thermal. Yeah.
I don't know what they're supposed to be. They're the exact same costumes they had before, but now they have little silver accents. And the filming, they were like, so why are we wearing these now? Why do we suddenly have different clothes? They're just like, don't worry about it. Just shut up and do. You know.
Just shut up and bounce your butt in front of the camera again. Take 5. Yeah.
I think I remember seeing those toys too, by the way. I remember before even seeing the movie, I never bothered to see this in the theater. I remember seeing those toys with the silver costumes, kind of going like, why are they wearing? Whatever, I didn't see it, so maybe I. But then after seeing it, I still don't know why they're wearing silver or anything.
Oh no, they're supposed to be thermal-based outfits to protect them from the extreme cold.
I know.
I say it with a straight face, but I don't mean it. Yeah, this the movie that killed a franchise that, granted, after Batman Forever was kind of not in the best of condition, and you would think that they would look upon the previous works and decide, well, you know what, we need to decide what it is we want to do. Do we really want to, audiences seem to respond to the moments when Alfred and Bruce Wayne were very personal together, so we'll add a couple of more of those. It'll be just as hollow, but we're still going to add a bunch of more of those. And people seem to like Jim Carrey's over-the-top performance. It's, we should see what we can get from it. Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's a great idea. There's a guy who can out Jim Carrey. I love you, Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, you can't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Schwarzenegger was a guy who, again, you just you liked him for his charisma. Like, no one ever called him a good actor. No one ever called him anything.
Even him.
Yet, he just sort of had this kind of likableness that everyone sort of was drawn to. That's why he was, I mean, again, even though he was huge, he was gigantic and, muscular. But even beyond that, I think he was just likable. And I think this was sort of around the time when people were sort of realizing that even if the guy doesn't take his shirt off throughout the entire movie, people will still see him because he's very likable. Mm-hmm. So they were like, you know what? Go for it. Just we need over the top people to act silly, and he'll do it.
We haven't even talked about Alicia Silverstone, who basically got to play the part of Chris O'Donnell from Batman Forever in this one.
Yes. We should probably go down all the performances, but if you want to start there, that's fine by me.
All right. Well, let us go. We already said that Schwarzenegger was over the top, but he's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Uma Thurman was the driest sexuality, whatever the hell it was she was trying to do that I've ever seen in my life.
With the most cringeworthy lines ever.
Yeah, exactly. She could, listen, I don't envy any actor or actress that would have had to have tried to get those lines out, but she definitely wasn't into it. Nor was Chris O'Donnell.
No, and the funny part was that, again, they dumb these down to sell toys, yet they give her the most blatantly over-sexual comments. I mean, innuendo is one thing, but then there's other times where it's like, show me a sign. She goes, how about slippery when wet? And I was like, wow, not a lot of ways you could take that. That's not, if there's only one way to take that, then it's not innuendo anymore.
Yeah.
The part when he says something like, I need to get my diamond, she goes, I'll help you grab your rocks. And I'm like, wow, that's just, oof. Yikes. Yeah, they really, I don't know what they were really thinking. I mean, I get the idea that Poison Ivy is kind of like this, a sexual, men are drawn to her kind of a character, but this was just ridiculous.
Yeah, but the difference is that in the comic books, she wasn't over the top about her sexuality. She was a pretty lady who had the effect because of her pheromones on men. She didn't have to be innuendo woman. She got them already. She already hit them with the damn pheromones. Why did she need to tease them even more? That makes no sense.
Yeah, I thought that whole thing was baffling. Let's talk about George Clooney.
We are gonna have to talk about George, aren't we?
Yeah, you said before he's a fine actor in a lot of things, and he's one of those where I'm not really sure if I think he's a good actor or if he just sort of has a natural charisma.
He definitely has a natural charisma.
I completely agree that he does. In fact, I'll even say it here. I saw Ocean's 11 and said to myself, you know what I would not mind seeing? I would not mind seeing a remake, and somebody's going to do it, so it might as well be him. A remake of North by Northwest, directed by Steven Soderbergh and starring George Clooney. I think he can actually pull it off. Yeah. I've always thought he's got a great presence, and even if his acting is just okay, sometimes that's enough. But here, wow, is it not enough? Wow, is he really difficult to, again, I mean, seriously, like Michael Keaton, I'm Batman. You know, Val Kilmer did his best to try to keep that going, the Batman voice, whatever. The first introduction of Batman, "Hi, Freeze, I'm Batman," and they don't even hold on him to complete the actual line. Like, they cut away from him before he's even said, "I'm Batman." It's like, wow, this is the I'm George Clooney, and I'm not trying to be anything else Batman. I mean, and even we were watching, like I said, we were watching last night. Mary's like, "Oh my God, there's that George Clooney head bobble." He it's almost like he went to the same school of acting as Julia Roberts, where you can sort of pinpoint every single little thing he's doing. Like, every time he says something, or somebody else says something, I know he's gonna smirk, turn his head sideways, look down, and look back. I mean, like, he does the same shtick every time, you know. And again, that weird bobbleheady thingy when he's like, what is he doing there? Like, stop moving your head. So yeah, he was painful to watch in this.
He was definitely not comfortable in his skin throughout this entire movie, and it was very evident. He obviously... Here is the difference between somebody like your Adam West versus, say, your George Clooney. Okay? Adam West recognized this is satire, this is over the top, I'm going to play it that way because it'll be a hell of a lot more fun, and it worked. I don't know what these people thought they were doing. They saw the script. Did they just think this was a payday? Nobody did anything. You know who did something? Michael Goff again did something. He was the only one with a decent amount of presence who actually was trying.
Yeah, the parts when he was sick, you could totally see. I mean, he's giving an actual performance here.
Yeah,
you could see the way he was ill. You know, I mean, and I thought it worked perfectly.
Yeah, and I even thought it was like nice and subtle how they led up to the reveal that he has McGregor's syndrome. You know, just like you know, they take off into the night, and there's just that one little moment, just very brief, where he just kind of closes his eyes and then he walks on. Another moment where he's kind of like holding up against the bat costume, and then finally the big reveal, and it was like, okay, that was actually decent. That was the only thing in this movie that actually worked. You know, I said it in the last review that Michael Goff is the only saving grace of Batman Forever, and I feel like that again. Here he is again, the only actor who's like trying, except for that Max Headroom, whatever the hell scene that happened at the end. But I don't blame him for that one.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Good God, was that weird?
He was the only saving grace of this entire movie. Not the production, not the stupid colors, the acting, the story. Definitely not the story. This was a movie by committee. This is like the epitome of bloat in a movie. All right, over the top bloat in a movie. And by the way, you know, the Batmobile got destroyed in the last movie. So when building the new Batmobile, why isn't it he didn't have a second seat in there for Robin?
Yeah, that was a little strange. You know, I guess Robin has his motorcycle fine, but just in case the motorcycle breaks down, you might want a second seat to bring him home.
Yeah, seriously. The logic,
just in case you have to drive a Vicky Vale home or something or other.
Yeah, there's no logic when it comes to these type of movies.
None.
All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The it girl for the time, as not even Barbara Gordon. Did they ever give her a last name? Was it Pennyworth?
I think so. I mean, it was he's not married, and it was his sister's daughter. So I guess it would have to be Pennyworth, I would suppose. But, you know, we kept cracking up about the idea that he kept trying to find his brother, Wilfred.
Yes.
Okay, so you have Alfred and Wilfred.
Yes.
Did the parents groom them to be butlers? We're going to raise butlers?
I mean, the only way it could have been worse is if they called him Jeeves or something. I don't know.
I thought Wilfred was more on the nose than Jeeves was, but yeah. Wow. Holy cow, was this girl awful. I mean, she was awful on levels I didn't even know they could reach. I've never seen a performance so bad. I've never seen such a weird... First of all of her lines, good God. I mean, again, you talk about show, don't tell, and tell, oh my God. Every time she opened her mouth, like as soon as she gets there, I don't even think they even barely made it past the hallway before they're outside walking around. My parents were killed and yada 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 and yada yada yada, and I do this because I mean, like, it just everything is just plot exposition. Like, okay, we get, all right, here's your background story. Just so stupid. Her delivery was terrible. I mean, some of the lines that she actually delivers, good lord, they were terrible.
Bruce, it's me, Barbara.
Bruce, it's me, Barbara.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the part when they're falling and he goes, "I got you," and then something happens, the line breaks, and she goes, "No, I got you." I'm like, what the hell is that? That is the best reading you could get? No, I've got you. It was so baffling. I said to I'm like, are they trying to develop a little romantic relationship between these two now? Because I can't understand what the point of that delivery was. It was so weird and so baffling. No, like, I mean, like it was like the sound of a tire deflating. No, I got you. Like, it's just terrible.
Stop.
Oh my God.
Stop.
I thought they really stuck it to Chris O'Donnell and gave him some really awkward lines and some awkward. I mean, I thought his part was rough. Then they bring her in, and it's 10 times worse. 10 times worse. And then the whole setup. Alfred is trying to... I didn't even understand that. Alfred is dying. So he's trying to reach out to his brother, I guess, to come and replace him, to be the Alfred to Batman. Like Batman needs a helper. So somebody else has to come and fill this gap. Fine. Right. I'm on board with that. Then he gives it to Barbara and says, "You need to get this to Wilfred." Okay, fine. And she, of course, now she goes in, opens up the thing, and every Batman detail schematic thing pops up on screen, and it's like, and even it's just her smile there was like, what does that smile mean? It was, again, there was no acting involved in this whatsoever. She sits there and smiles like she's watching cartoons. You know, like no sense of like...
It's Saturday morning, it's SpongeBob time.
Seriously. Like, no sense of like revelation, like, oh my God, I just discovered something new. No, she just smiled like she's watching cartoons. And then, of course, like, she makes her way into the Batcave. Uncle Alfred, it's me. And yeah, like you said, Max Headroom, like, hello, Barbara. I knew you would come down here, so I set you up with a costume. Really? Really? Just because she's your niece and she knows how to ride a motorcycle, I guess, she now will be the new... she's going to be Batgirl. Fine, whatever. Who cares at this point? Like, why am I even spending so much time talking about it? It was like the stupidest, dumbest, just half-hearted attempt to jam that character in. Look, now we got Batgirl.
In a world of missteps, misfires, bloat, in a world of what the hell did I just watch? This is truly... The one good thing I could say about this movie is this is the pinnacle of terrible. And I don't think it'll ever be topped.
It really is genuinely baffling.
My name is Freeze. Learn it well, for it's the chilling sound of your doom.
This is the way the world could end.
But what is not baffling, Joe, is your score. I know what your score is, even if you don't know what your score is. So, Joe, Batman and Robin, 1997's smash hit.
Oof. Here's the funny part. Honestly, I kind of went into this thinking, it was funny, like last week I was kind of defending Batman Forever a little bit. Almost like where I was sort of blaming fans, saying like, well, if you were on board all along and you just want this, you know, the over-the-top visuals and visuals over storytelling, then I guess you get what you get. I've only seen this movie before in bits and pieces of it. I've never really paid too close attention to it. And I remember thinking I was going to go into this film defending it a little bit. At least a little bit, because again, I mean, this is one of the most hated movies of all time, not just superhero movies. I mean, I think this has got to be one of the most hated movies of all time. I kind of thought I was going to go in and give it a little defense and say, oh, come on, guys, what about this? What about this? At least it's got costumes. At least it's got color. At least it's got this. I sat there last night and I literally said to myself, this is baffling how bad this is. This is mind-boggling how anybody bothered putting this to celluloid thinking this was going to entertain people. It is truly just a mystery how anybody thought any of this was worth bothering with. I'm gonna give it a 2. I thought I was gonna give it a 3 even, but just the more I watched it, I just couldn't find anything worthwhile about this. This is genuinely a waste of people's time. It's a waste of time to watch this expecting anything. I mean, you'll sit there and go, oh look, there's what's his face. Oh look, there's what's her face. Oh look, there's that. Oh look, there's costumes and people flying all around and silly nonsense. And I suppose. I mean, I guess, just for the sheer effort alone. And when I say effort, I'm talking about there were people who made costumes and they made models and they made sets and okay, all right, for that I'll give it a 2 because somebody was doing something. But yeah, this is a truly baffling effort.
Just because somebody draws in the lines of a particular paint picture that they're doing, just because they color it just to get it over with, doesn't mean you give them credit for it.
True.
I don't think this movie deserves a 2, Joe. I think you're being way, 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 way too generous. This is a cinematic abomination in every respect. It is the height of the 90s oversaturation in a movie. It is an abomination. It is the afterbirth of an abortion. It is terrible. There is one and only one thing redeeming in this entire movie, and it's not even the movie trying to do it. It is one actor who actually gave a crap, and it's the only thing in my 4-year consideration, and the only thing saving it from the true score that this movie deserves, which is a 0. But it's getting a 1 from me. This is the last time I ever want to see this movie. I do not ever want to see this movie again. I put the movie on and I said to my son, hey, come watch Batman and Robin with me. And he said, nah. It's like, you got me into this. It's like, wow. I don't like the mind control stuff. The movie's silly. I'm a Marvel man now. I'm like, I'm proud of you, but get out of my face.
I
didn't exactly say that, but I do have to give him credit. He definitely he threw me under the bus and he just kind of whistled and walked away. Seriously, in our entire history here, to me, this is the benchmark of really bad movie. It's like, well, okay, this movie was bad, but is it Batman and Robin bad? I will always ask that question from now on. I can't recommend this movie. I will always say, don't rent it, don't watch it. I don't care if you're high. I don't care. I live in Seattle. I don't care if you just got the best weed that we sell in the entire state that sends you off into the stratosphere. This movie will bring you down. It will bring you down, man. No, never again.
Listen, I hear you, and I'm only saving my 0s and 1s. Like, something has to really offend me on a personal level, and there are movies that will do that.
I'm a Batman fan.
Well, there you go. They'll do it. Okay, so of all the things you didn't like about it, what was the worst, my friend?
Oh my god, I don't even know where to start. The cartoon sound effects, the quote unquote origin of Bane. That's Bane. All right, yeah. Tom Hardy's Bane is still a crappy Bane, but his is a better Bane than this Bane. The over-the-top Schwarzenegger, the over-the-top Thurman, the phoning it in O'Donnell, the over-the-top production. That's a small list of things. But for me, the thing that made me want to reach out and choke the life out of this movie was Bruce, it's me, Barbara. It's like, oh my God. And you know what? When, here she is. She hasn't really done a lot of acting since then. I swear to you, I hope to God that someday she looks back on her career and wonders to herself, where did it all go wrong? Right there. Bruce, it's me, Barbara. That's where it went wrong, Alicia Silverstone. That's where it went wrong.
Wow. How ironic, because I also chose Alicia Silverstone as the worst part of this awful movie. I don't even think, like I said, that between that delivery and the "no, I got you," like I just said to myself, like, didn't anyone tell her this is a movie, you are an actress, you have to act and perform and show some kind of charisma, do something. Like I've never seen, I don't know if I've ever seen a worse performance in any movie, frankly. She was awful to the point where, I was literally, and this is gonna be even a little below the belt. Sometimes I watch her and I see the way her mouth moves. I'm almost saying to myself, is she okay? Her mouth kind of wiggles in a funny way that I'm going like, is she having a stroke? Like, I don't know what's wrong. Like, something is not right about her. Yeah, she is just bafflingly awful in this. And you could have gotten just anyone. I mean, you said this was her moment where she was like the it girl for 20 minutes. I mean, I think she had one or two. I don't even know what she had one or two movies before this, like that Clueless movie. I mean, I never saw it, but I know it exists. And something else that she was in. So, I mean, she was a notable person at that point, but Jesus, you could have gotten anybody into that part, and you could have gotten a random stranger off the street and did a better performance than that.
Could have done a better performance.
Anyone. I could have put on a wig and done better than that.
Well, yes, of course, Joe. Everybody can. Look, I'm already doing a better performance than her now. Don't you hear it?
Uncle Alfred, it's me, Barbara.
Don't you remember? It's Barbara. This is the ire that this woman. Look, I don't have anything against. You know what? I take it back. Maybe I do have something against her as a person, because this was just. this was just
I think
horrible.
I do too.
It really, really was horrible, and I can't. And I'm not going to forgive. Here, I can forgive the rest of the cast. Like Schwarzenegger just was like, oh, okay, sure, whatever. I'll just play it that way. At least he had fun. At least he got paid. And Uma Thurman, she was never really like a great actress or anything like that. Just vamp it up on the screen. She's fine. Chris O'Donnell's like, I don't even know why I'm here, but I'll do what I can.
Yeah. It's funny. We've kind of said before about how Ebert's big criticism of the Batman franchise at that point was that they seem way too fascinated with the villains and not so much about the heroes in the film. Here's why. The two people playing villains, as ridiculous as they are and over the top as they are, they at least look like they're trying. They at least look like they're throwing themselves into this and at least, like, I don't know what this movie is, but I'm going to try to be funny and try to do the best I can. All of the people playing the heroes, bland, just so bland. I mean, I thought Val Kilmer was bland. Clooney is just whatever. He's just there to do his, Clooney 101. Like this isn't even like stage 2 Clooney. This is like intro to Clooney. This is again, head bobble, smirk, dip my head, kind of just okay. I got it. There's Clooney. Then we get, like I said, Chris O'Donnell. I don't know what, and he was so, even. The part when they cut off his motorcycle and he's standing there on, he's yelling and screaming, right?
Yeah.
Well, at least he's trying. But again, the whole dynamic between Batman and Robin started off wrong in the last one, and then continues wrong here. Like here, all he's doing is constantly arguing. I mean, they tried to play it up as like, well, Poison Ivy's pointing them against each other, but he was already sort of doing that already. Like they started off kind of on the wrong foot, and it just got worse at that point, and it was not really pleasant. Then you cap that with god-awful Alicia Silverstone. I mean, the whole trio of heroes were just boring. They're so boring to watch. There was nothing interesting about it.
Yeah, if you can't cheer for your heroes, what the hell, man?
Exactly. So here comes the hard part. But I have a hunch. I have a feeling. I know where we're both going to go.
I
with
know
this one.
we kind of both with so little positive to talk about this movie. We both kind of put our heart in our sleeve when it came to the things that we actually liked about this movie.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to give it again to Michael Goff.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. I'm with you on that one. There's no point in even going on. Go ahead.
He's there. This man, he's the only. Him and Pat Hingle are the only two actors who made it throughout the entire series of the movie. From the Burton era into the Schumacher era, Hingle got more and more compartmentalized as a character, whereas they actually, kind of grew Alfred as a character. And he didn't have a lot to work with, but such poise, such style, such grace, such I don't know if I could even think of the word. I normally am not the type of person that would repeat a for your consideration, but it's all I've got in this movie. And I'm really honestly not even ashamed to give it to the guy again. It's like, no, his parts that were in the movie were the best parts of it. I felt something. In a movie as empty and hollow as this, the fact that one person gets me to feel something, you get the credit.
Agreed. I mean, he's the only one there making a genuine effort. And again, for somebody who had started out being a very peripheral character, he ends up being the anchor that barely holds this whole series intact. He's the only, common factor in every film, and he's the only likable person in a lot of it.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, he's there to he was there to work. He's not there to just phone it in and just whatever. Everyone else is there to do nonsense, and he's there to actually work. He's an actor.
Yeah. And God bless you, sir, wherever you may be. I hope you're in a happier place and they're not showing Batman and Robin 24/7. And thus ends the Burton Schumacher era of Batman.
Came in pretty strong, goes out limping, staggering.
It's like, you know what? It's like the end of Old Yeller, Joe. It's like the end of Old Yeller. You don't want to shoot. You don't want to shoot the damn dog, but you have to.
And you are the Batman fan, so my friend, you are the one who would be schlepping out into the shed with the shotgun.
Oh yeah. And believe me, I was like, I'm done. No matter. It's like, you better impress the ever living hell out of me for the next one, if there was a next one. I didn't think there was ever going to be a next one. But next week, ladies and gentlemen, after we've gone through this interesting ride of started really strong and petered out at the end, we're going to start a whole new series that starts out really, really strong and peters out at the end. Why are you doing this to me, Joe?
Did we not just go through this ride just now?
But you know what? We're going to start off extremely, extremely strong. Because next week, ladies and gentlemen, we cover Steven Spielberg's and George Lucas's Raiders of the Lost Ark. And that's right. I said Raiders of the Lost Ark, not Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Thank you. Good God, do I hate that. And then a couple weeks into that, we're going to jump in with the new Predator.
Yes.
So that should be... that'll be interesting, and then we'll come back and finish out Indiana Jones.
Yep, so basically this week will be Raiders of the Lost Ark, then it will be the Temple of Doom, then we take a break, and honestly, that's probably a good point to take a break, because the series was still holding together around Temple of Doom, and
Very true.
Then we're going to get into the other parts of it. But you know what? We've got a nice 5 weeks up for you, ladies and gentlemen. And honestly, after Batman and Robin, it can't get worse, can it?
We shall see.
And Joe, thank you so much for phoning it in on your vacation. Go have your lobster, man.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm glad to be here. Wouldn't miss it. Wouldn't miss this stellar movie by.
Yeah, of all the movies too. It's like, at least if it had been, I don't know, like if this week had been Raiders of the Lost Ark, at least it would have been, almost worth it.
Yeah.
But
Very true. Everybody could have sat around watching a great movie last night, and instead we sat around, huddled around Batman and Robin.
Well, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, Joe, excellent show. Thank you very much, and have a great week on vacation, sir. And see y'all next week.
Thank you, sir. See you next week. Thanks for listening to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe and Dave. Join us here every Thursday for a new episode. And be sure to check out the Reviews Without Remorse channel on YouTube and VidMe for spoiler-free reviews of new releases, as well as in-depth discussions of current and classic cinema. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider becoming a patron. You can find our page at patreon.com. As little as $1 a month goes a long way. All clips in this podcast are used for commentary and critique, and is considered fair use. No copyright infringement is intended.
Turn it off. Turn it off! Turn it off!